It scares scientists all over the world. The Egyptian pyramids are the most famous ancient monuments in the world. Some of the most visited tourist attractions remain shrouded in mystery for many generations. How is this possible? The science that studies the past from finds will allow us to dispel the fog of uncertainty of these mysteries. You are on the KirTop channel, so you don't miss out. Temperature. What is obvious to one is far from obvious to others. Knowing this wisdom, archaeologists and scientists made a joint study of the pyramids. Scientists have discovered an unusual thermal anomaly in one famous building, the Great Pyramid of Cheops. Imagine in a pyramid they found a place of several stone blocks that were hotter by as much as 6 degrees than the rest. This amazing discovery was made by scanning the pyramid with the latest technological advances, including infrared thermography, muon radiography, and 3D reconstruction. Such temperature differences may indicate the presence of cavities or different materials inside the pyramid. It was previously believed that all the stones in the lower row of the Cheops pyramid are the same. However, thermal anomalies were also found in the upper half of the tomb. According to scientists, most likely there are empty areas inside the pyramid. Experts are now looking for them. Perhaps there are new discoveries awaiting for them, but what exactly is hiding behind this thermal anomaly in the Pyramid of Cheops? Egyptian tools. In Egypt, traces of sawing stones were found that were discovered more than 100 years ago. It was the legendary pyramid explorer Sir William Flinders Petrie. He noticed these traces even on the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau. He suggested that the sarcophagus was carved from granite using huge saws 3 meters long. Saw marks can also be found throughout Egypt, for example. There are temple ruins near the Great Pyramid. Numerous traces of sawing have been preserved on the stone floor there. At the beginning of the 20th century, German archaeologists even deliberately put blocks with saw marks on public display during the restoration of the temple. Historians suggest that in ancient times the Egyptians used copper saws. And since copper is softer than granite and basalt, it is assumed that the Egyptians used quartz sand as an abrasive. Pyramid of the oldest civilization. The Norte Chico culture, also known as Caral Soup, is considered one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations of the Andes. It existed about 5,000 years ago and achieved significant advances in architecture, agriculture, and social organization. Archaeologists recently discovered a pyramidal structure about a kilometer from the sacred city of Caral Soup in the Soup Valley, Peru. The structure is a quadrangular building with a wide staircase leading to the top. Its walls are decorated with massive vertical stones, huancas, which may have had not only structural but also ritual significance. In addition to the pyramid, the researchers found 12 public and ceremonial buildings located around a central plaza of almost 39 hectares. This indicates the existence of a small urban center with administrative and religious functions. 3 platforms were identified in the pyramid, which indicates a complex architectural tradition of the Caral civilization. At the Chupatsigaro site, archaeologists also discovered a unique geoglyph, made in the Sechina style. It depicts a human profile and is likely associated with rituals reflecting access to the region's marine and agricultural resources. Mystical riddles of ancient Egypt. Since ancient times, the heavens have inspired the Egyptians to create majestic monuments. The astronomical knowledge underlying the construction of the pyramids is amazing in its accuracy and depth. The pyramids of Giza, aligned with amazing precision in accordance with the stars of Orion's belt, testify to the extraordinary knowledge of the ancients in the field of cosmology. Such accuracy gives rise to speculation about possible extraterrestrial influence or even assistance in construction. Various texts, including the pyramid texts, hint at a deep connection between the divine and the cosmic, suggesting that knowledge may have been passed down to humans from more advanced civilizations. The complexity and sophistication of ancient Egyptian architectural and engineering achievements, such as the ventilation systems inside the pyramids and the acoustics in the temples, raises admiration and many questions. How were the ancient Egyptians able to so precisely craft and set multi-ton stone blocks without any visible modern technology? Some argue that such knowledge could have been gained from the gods who, according to myth, visited Earth sharing their technology. These speculations are fueled by discoveries of unusually accurate star charts, surgical instruments, and other items indicating a high level of scientific and technological development. The discovery of artifacts with images resembling modern aircraft and complex mechanisms adds to the mystery of Egyptian history. For example, reliefs depicting objects resembling helicopters and submarines are controversial among scientists. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians were inspired by visions of the future or used artifacts left behind by more advanced civilizations as prototypes to create their own technologies. There is a theory that the ancient Egyptians had knowledge far ahead of their time, including the secrets of eternal life, methods of treating diseases that were incurable at that time, and ways to generate energy. This knowledge may have been lost over the centuries, leaving behind only hints and references in religious texts and myths. The discovery of medical instruments, astronomical knowledge, and chemical compounds used in mummification supports the idea that the ancient Egyptians had advanced knowledge. Imagine for a moment that an artifact was found in the depths of the Great Pyramid, indicating contact with an ancient civilization with technologies far superior to our own. The discovery of such a crystal, perhaps emitting an unknown type of energy, could revolutionize our understanding of history, science, and the very nature of reality. This hypothetical scenario embodies humanity's eternal quest beyond the known to discover lost knowledge that could change the world. Incredible discovery under the Nile. Archaeologists have made an amazing discovery under the Nile in the Aswan area, a collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts and rock carvings dating back to the era when the city experienced a massive flood. The relics date back to the reigns of pharaohs such as Amenhotep III, Thutmose IV, and Psammetichus II. Aswan, about 4,500 years ago, was an important trading and military center. Gold, wood, and spices were exchanged here, and local granite quarries supplied materials for the construction of temples, obelisks, and pyramids. However, after the construction of the Aswan Dam, most of the city was underwater. A Franco-Egyptian archaeological mission discovered unique rock reliefs depicting pharaohs, hieroglyphic inscriptions, and other sculptural elements. The work was carried out using modern technologies such as underwater scanning, photogrammetry, and 3D modeling. These methods allowed us to document the artifacts we found in detail and create digital copies of them. Of particular interest are the images of Amenhotep III, who ruled Egypt for about 40 years and left a rich legacy. His burial place was in the Theban Necropolis on the west bank of the Nile, opposite modern Luxor. Unfortunately, many monuments associated with his era were damaged by floods, but the new find gives hope for the restoration of these historical relics. Voids. Scientists want to make an ultrasound of a huge pyramid 140 meters high. They plan to use large telescopes to search for particles that will help us see what is hidden inside. The most interesting thing is that cosmic rays are used for this. It is they who can reveal the secret of two mysterious voids inside the pyramid. One of them is located directly above the large passage leading to the king's chamber. Its dimensions are amazing, 30 meters in length and 6 in height. Scientists are not yet sure what awaits us inside, one large space or a series of small rooms. This may be the hidden burial chamber of Cheops, or this place played an important role during the construction of the pyramid. To solve this riddle, muons are used, elementary particles that are formed when cosmic rays collide with atoms in the Earth's atmosphere. With their help, we could build a map of voids inside the pyramid. Muons behave differently when interacting with different materials, such as rock or air. Thus, scientists can use muons to see what is not available to ordinary vision. Secret rooms. So what could be hiding inside the pyramids? There are many theories here, from religious objects and treasures to ancient scrolls full of knowledge, and some are even sure that artifacts of space gods can be hidden in the recesses of the Egyptian pyramids. Remember the story of the 90s when a robot descending into one of the shafts came across mysterious doors? The great scientists of antiquity, the Greeks and Romans, were delighted with the skill of the builders of the pyramids, and medieval Arabic chroniclers such as al-Masudi and al-Idrisi wrote about miracles, gold, and mummies that might have been found inside. But not all scientists agree that the pyramids served only as tombs. Supporters of alternative history argue that the Great Pyramid could be a time capsule, a repository of knowledge of an ancient civilization that became the basis of ancient Egypt. And there is an even more exotic theory from Christopher Dunn, who suggested that the Great Pyramid could be nothing more than a power station. And don't forget about the Chamber of Records, the legendary ancient library. where, according to some researchers, all the knowledge of the ancients is stored, capable of shaking the foundations of our understanding of the world. The Secret of Orion. Have you ever wondered why many ancient monuments look towards the constellation Orion? Did the gods really come to our land from there, from a distant space? Incredible, but true. Our ancestors left us a whole system of signs pointing to Orion. They created architectural masterpieces, elaborate calendars, and observation posts that allowed them to track the position of the stars in the sky. Orion was one of the most popular constellations among the ancients. Its image was even found on a mammoth tusk dated 32,500 BC. Studying the ancient sanctuaries on the Kola Peninsula, scientists noticed an interesting detail. If you connect the finds with conditional lines on the map, you get the constellation of Orion. And this can no longer be a coincidence. Orion seems to be everywhere. There is no such place on Earth where it would not be met. Egypt, Mexico, ancient Babylon, ancient Russes. Everywhere it played an important role, becoming the center of heavenly space. Probably the matter is in the principle as above, so below. The ancient Egyptians built their pyramids focusing on Orion as if creating an earthly map of this constellation. And even 3 large volcanoes on Mars together form the belt of Orion. Just a coincidence or a trace of a cosmic connection? And also representatives of the ancient Egyptian civilization believed that their gods descended from Orion and Sirius. New secrets of Egyptian funeral practices. For the first time, scientists have conducted a detailed analysis of the pink and white paste used to seal coffins in ancient Egypt. The study has shown that these substances had different compositions and performed different functions. One of the first samples studied was the coffin of Pakapu, a priest and keeper of burials in Thebes who lived about 2,700 years ago. His wooden coffin, stored in the Fitzwilliam Museum at Cambridge University, consisted of 2 parts, an inner and an intermediate coffin sealed with special compounds. Analysis showed that the pink paste was used to fill structural gaps and the white served as a base for painting. Interestingly, a layer resembling papier mâché was found in the inner coffin, a multi-layered composition of linen and plaster, similar to those used for burial masks and mummy shells. The main component of both pastes was calcite, obtained by grinding limestone. However, the inner coffin used a pure material which confirms the special attention paid to the structure that was in direct contact with the body. The pink paste, containing iron impurities, was coarser and served technical purposes. Its granular structure helped prevent shrinkage when drying. The diversity of compositions indicates that different craftsmen worked on the coffin, each using their own method. Melted steps. The stairs at the Temple of Hathor in Dendera raise many questions among archaeologists and researchers. These steps, located in one of the best-preserved temples of ancient Egypt, look as if they were exposed to incredibly high temperatures, which could have led to their deformation and partial melting. The surface of the steps shows unusual bends and recessed areas that are not typical for the normal wear of stone structures. There are various theories to explain this phenomenon. One hypothesis suggests that the steps could have been damaged as a result of some unknown thermal impact, for example, ritual fires or processes associated with ancient technologies. Another theory points to possible construction errors. If the stones for the steps were formed directly on site from a liquid solution, then the interruption of the hardening process could have led to an irregular shape and softness of the material. Scientists are still studying this phenomenon, adding another mystery to the rich heritage of ancient Egypt. Where did the ancient Egyptians' gods come from? Ancient Egypt continues to excite the minds of scientists with its secrets, one of which is the country of Punt. Unlike the mythical Atlantis and Agartha, Punt was a very real place, located somewhere in eastern Africa. The Egyptians sent trading expeditions there, bringing back goods that one could only dream of: precious trees, gold, ivory, and aromatic resins. The first mention of Punt dates back to the 26th century BC, during the time of Pharaoh Cheops. Expeditions continued for centuries, bringing untold riches to Egypt. An important step was the construction of a canal connecting the Nile and the Red Sea under Pharaoh Senusret III, which simplified the route to Punt. The exact location of Punt is still a matter of debate among scholars. There is an assumption that it was located in the area of modern Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and Sudan, and could also cover the territory as far as southern Africa. Some researchers believe that Egyptian sailors could even reach the Cape of Good Hope. Legends and myths about Punt have been preserved in Egyptian culture as the homeland of the gods and ancestors of the Egyptians. The last known expedition to Punt was undertaken under Pharaoh Ramses III. After this, travel to the land of wealth ceased and Punt gradually turned into a legend. Today, archaeological research in Punt is complicated by the political situation in the region, making it one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. Relations between Egypt and Punt, as far as we know, have always remained peaceful, which is a unique fact in the history of interaction between ancient civilizations. Punt's trace still lives on in the name of the autonomous region of Somalia, Puntland. Pyramids when they were built. The pyramids we see today are far from what they looked like when they were created. You don't believe it? Let's dive into history. Ancient engineers used an astonishing 6.1 million tons of limestone to erect the Great Pyramid of Giza. The largest and oldest of all, it was created by order of Pharaoh Khufu. But what do you think it looked like before? No, not sandy brown. It was covered with a shiny layer of limestone. But alas, over time, many facing stones were reused. This probably began already during the reign of Tutankhamun and continued for many centuries. Add to this the earthquake of 1303 AD, which jolted them a little. Today, the pyramids still amaze us with their durability. For example, the Pyramid of Khafre, which even retains some of its original facing stones. It looks like one peak is wedged into another. It's amazing. On top of the pyramids were the so-called pyramidions covered with electrum, a shiny mixture of gold and silver. Alas, most of them have been lost over time, but some examples can still be seen in museums. Benben stone. This amazing artifact inspired the Egyptians to create two of the greatest achievements of their architecture, the pyramids and obelisks. Imagine a pyramid-shaped sacred stone called a Benben or pyramidion. Every day, the first rays of the rising sun fell on it, endowing everyone around with strength and enlightenment. This stone was kept in the religious center of Egypt, Heliopolis, where, according to the ancients, the creation of the world began. However, at one unknown point in history, the original Benben stone disappeared. This stone was associated not only with the gods Atum and Ra, it was also associated with the Bennu bird, which, according to myths, screamed on the Benben stone, announcing the beginning of the creation of the world. Through these connections, the Benben stone became an integral part of the solar temples of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians covered it with gold and the stone reflected the sun's rays, filling the temples with light. This stone became the prototype of the tops of obelisks and pyramids, which we can still observe while walking through the museums of the world. Why is it forbidden to climb the pyramid? The top stone of the pyramid is a kind of cherry on top, the final touch in its construction. Given the harmony and beauty of the pyramid, it is unlikely that its builders would have left it unfinished. There is a theory that the top stone was made of gold and was removed from the top sometime in the distant past, but it's hard to believe given the height of the building, more than 140 meters. Spanish explorer Miguel Perez Sanchez suggests that a huge spherical stone, symbolizing the Eye of Horus, was placed on top of the pyramid. It could serve as a tribute to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, and its size and shape were designed with mathematics, geometry, and astronomy in mind. There is one interesting story associated with the top of the pyramid and Sir Siemens. Some time ago, the British inventor Sir Siemens was at the top of the pyramid, and as he was about to celebrate his achievement with a glass of wine, when suddenly he encountered a surprise. He got electrocuted. The Arab guides, seeing how Siemens was electrocuted, got scared and tried to catch him, but Siemens, pointing a bottle at them, hit them with a powerful electric current. Since then, it has been forbidden to climb to the top of the pyramid. Sistine Chapel of Ancient Egypt. Here is one of the most stunning tombs of ancient Egypt, the tomb of Queen Nefertari, wife of Ramses II. It is over 3,200 years old and is often called the Sistine Chapel of Egypt because of its incredible paintings. Unlike many other tombs, this one amazes not only with its scale, but also with its bright, almost untouched colors. On the walls are scenes from the Book of the Dead, images of gods and Nefertari herself going to the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that such paintings would help the deceased pass the trials and achieve eternal life. The detail is amazing. Fine lines, intricate patterns, vivid colors, all this makes the tomb a real masterpiece. Unfortunately, many sections of the walls have been damaged by time, but restorers have managed to preserve its grandeur. Today, this tomb is considered one of the most beautiful in the Valley of the Queens and a true window into the world of ancient Egyptian art. The Sphinx was not built by people. A recent discovery by a team of scientists from New York University radically changes our perception of the history of the Great Sphinx of Giza. Contrary to the generally accepted belief that the monument was carved by the ancient Egyptians, a new theory argues that the Sphinx is the result of natural forces. Researchers paid attention to yardangs, natural sculptures formed by erosion in desert conditions, reminiscent of animals or people in their contours. Such formations are typical for archaeological zones with a similar climate, including the territory of Egypt. In experiments simulating erosion in the laboratory, scientists have proven that when exposed to wind and water, soft rock can form figures remarkably reminiscent of a sphinx. So perhaps the ancient Egyptians just polished and complemented the already existing natural form, giving it clearer features. This study opens a new page in understanding the processes of formation of archaeological sites and the role of nature in the art of antiquity. Mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered wall carvings depicting objects similar to modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest were found in Turkey in the ruins of the megalithic temple of Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been discovered in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, raising many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe the ancient ruins are more likely to depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of a handbag may have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern bag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in 9000 BC, and its builders could hardly have known about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods hold a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remains of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they cannot yet say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of an Assyrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC. Which depicts a genie with wings holding what appears to be a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried water buckets made from sacred date palms rather than purses. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings were actually found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico among Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD. Sarcophagi. Archaeologists have discovered unique tombs and funerary masks that are as much as 4,500 years old, and they were found next to the pyramids of Giza in the heart of the ancient Necropolis. Several tombs from the era of the Old Kingdom were found there, the oldest of which dates back to the 25th century BC. Ancient inscriptions and decorations have been preserved in it. In one of the tombs was Pehuenc, a senior court judge and priest of the goddess Mot. He directed the rituals of purification in the pyramidal temples of the kings Khafre, Usarkaf, and Niuserre. The second inhabitant of the tomb is his relative Nui, a nobleman with 5 court titles and a priest in the temple of Khafre. The excavation began in August 2018, and in order to reach these tombs, they had to move about 450 cubic meters of sand. Some tombs were plundered in antiquity but were reused for burials in the 7th to 6th centuries BC. Thanks to this, amazing works of art, magnificent clay, and wooden funeral masks were found among the late wooden sarcophagi, and all this was found near the cemetery of the pyramid builders. This proves that the pyramids were built not by slaves, but by ordinary people who were buried next to their kings. Signs of extraterrestrial visitors. Now we come to one of the most controversial pyramid theories. It is believed that aliens helped build the pyramids. In the 60s and 70s of the last century, this assumption became popular thanks to the book by Erich von Däniken, Chariots of the Gods. He said that extraterrestrial beings came to Earth a long time ago and helped build the majestic pyramids. Why do we think so? First, the builders of the pyramids cut and set stone blocks with extraordinary precision. Some believe that such work would not have been possible without the futuristic technology that aliens could provide. Secondly, the pyramids seem to be placed according to special astronomical schemes. For example, the sides of the Great Pyramid of Khufu align perfectly with the cardinal points of the compass. Some even suggest that this was done on purpose to serve as a beacon for incoming alien spacecraft. However, many scientists want to see evidence. They claim that there is no evidence of the arrival of aliens on Earth, and everything in the pyramids can be explained by Earth technology. The ancient Egyptians used giant ramps to carry stone blocks to the top of the pyramid. It may sound primitive, but the effectiveness of this method is undeniable. At the moment, there is no evidence confirming the coming of aliens, and although the pyramids remain one of the most amazing wonders of the world, most likely they were created exclusively by earthly hands and minds. Perhaps someday all the artifacts will form a new picture of the past, and there will no longer be unexplored secrets in history. But then, would it be that interesting to study it? Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Watch also this video about the secrets of the Egyptian civilization. See you on KirTop.